it's commonly known today yet as the little wash house.
That's what she said.
Everybody refers to it as the wash house.
And there was a fireplace and two big black kettles. And I remember it very well because my children were little during the Depression. I went through it. We had a pigsty, and my dad would take pigs, for the feed. Of course, the leftover feed would feed the chickens. We had ducks, we had geese, we had turkeys, we had guinea hens, you name it. We had it. But we also butchered. In those days, everything was run with water power, yeah.
But that same washroom was used, to do her laundry, power-driven wash machine. And then she said the butchery, she also made her own soap in one.
And they had another kettle where she made her own soap.
Yeah.
We always had homemade
All
soap.
the fat from the animals went
Yeah.
right the other
And
kettle.
she had her own lard. My mother would feed everybody that was here helping. So we had a lot of people working, and that table was loaded.
But how many people worked? They fed them all.
We fed them all,
I
always.
can imagine the food preparation
Oh.
place.
And she baked just about every day.
Hi, welcome to the Hellertown Historical Society Wash House. We'll explain how they washed way back when. It's not like today when you put the clothes in a machine, press start, and everything's ready to go to be dried.
When folks first came to the Saucon Valley area, they had little other than their house and what they needed to live. The interesting thing about the olden days was they didn't do laundry every week like we do. They actually would wait for a long time and do it maybe on a monthly basis. But where? What equipment did they have? They barely had anything. What they did have was a creek. And so they would go down to the creek with their laundry and they would wash it in the creek using some rudimentary type soap, usually based in lye. And then they would use the rocks to scrub. And after they did their washing and rinsing in the creek, they would take that laundry out and put it on bushes or the grass and let it dry, bleach in the sun. That was how it kind of started. And then eventually it got to the point where they wanted to do laundry in a facility. So maybe it was at home, or it could have been in a wash house like we have here. In that case, they needed laundry tubs. So they had tubs and they would use two of them, basically. They'd heat their water on a fire. They'd have the warmest water they could get that their hands would tolerate. And one tub would be pure water for rinsing, and the other tub would be where they would have their soap and where they would do their scrubbing. One of the things they used to scrub was a washboard, and then they would take it into the rinse pan. They'd rinse it out. After they'd rinse it, they had to wring it out by hand. I don't know if you could imagine how heavy clothes can be when it's wet. And they had to be strong women and to get all of that water out of there. Finally, they would have to hang the clothes. So it came to a point when they figured out, let's put a rope line between two trees or between two posts, and they would take their wash out onto the line and use clothespins or pegs. They called these pegs as well. And they would hang their clothes on the line using the pegs. Now there were some secrets to doing the laundry. All of the pure white clothes got hung in the sun. Why? Because the sun was our bleaching agent. And then the colored clothes would be hung in the shade to retain the color of the clothing.
One of the earliest machines that they produced after doing it on a scrub board was made out of Louisiana cypress. And when you turn the handle, it would agitate the clothes inside. So they didn't have to manually scrub it on the scrub board. Then they would take the clothes out put it through this wringer, and the wringer took out most of the water, and it was ready to be hung on the line. So they didn't have to hand wring it then.
The interesting part about this machine is the fact that it could be powered in another way. So there was a setup with a wheel where the power was actually coming in from the water. It was water powered in the same way that the mill was. So actually, this was the first one you could say worked without human movement. It would work on its own. So that was a big improvement over scrubbing with the hands.
And wringing it out in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Another form of washing machine is with the washing board, but after they cleaned the clothes, they were able to push it through the wringer to wring out most of the soapy water into
A second tub, which would be filled with clean water. And if the rinsing process needed to be done again several times, you just would send it back and it would go back again through so that it was ready to be hung. In the early 1900s, we finally had a motorized washing machine for the general public to use. This one happens to be a Maytag, and it had the agitator we used to even today, which goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in a circular motion.
It wasn't strong enough to rinse all the water out from the clothes, so they still had to use the wringer to get most of the water out of the clothes.
And you still had to hang the clothes up on the line.
Yes.